All right, good evening, everyone. Shavua Tov. We've just gone 8:30 and we are going to begin. First of all, a big welcome to everyone to Limud Live with the South African Jewish Report this Saturday night. It's Limud month at the moment in August, and we couldn't go without seeing our amazing community from all over the world. So we are excited to give you a taste of what's to come. First of all, my name is Ryan Davis. I will be your host for this evening, and you are in the right place if you are looking for the session by Rabbi Bombach from MeaShearim to Israel. And he will be sharing his amazing story with us. I'm not going to tell you too much, but just to give you a few quick housekeeping things to be aware of. First of all, this is an online session, as you know, and we would like to still engage with our Limud values as we go through this. So just a reminder, some of those Limud values are respect and arguments for the sake of heaven, and of course, building connections. And even though we are online, we would love to still continue those connections to be built. So please connect with people in the chat as we go through the session, and please feel free to, even already now, just let us know where you are dialing in from. We can see already on the screen, we've got quite a global audience already dialing into our call. Just to also make you aware, we are going to be recording this session for security reasons, and also so that the content will be able to be made available to you afterwards. What we would love to encourage you to do is to turn on your cameras if you're happy to. It's always nicer for our presenters to be presenting to an audience and not looking at blank screens. So if you're comfortable to, we'd love you to turn on your screens, and please feel free to interact with the reactions buttons, either with thumbs up or jazz hands at any stage, if you would like to. So I don't want to waste too much time, as I said, so I'd love to immediately introduce our first presenter, Menachem Bombach, who's dialing in from Beitar Elite near Jerusalem. He's a rabbi, a leader, a teacher, an entrepreneur, and the way that I describe him is as a pioneer in education, both in Israel and internationally. I was very privileged to meet him at the Nachum Goldman Fellowship in 2017, and we've only just recently reconnected, but we've been wanting to bring him out to South Africa for some time. As I say, he's a pioneer in the Hasidic community, combining secular and religious studies, basically getting Hasidic and Haredi kids ready for the world outside, that for their own economic stability, but also to really continue to build Israel. He grew up in MeaShearim, as we said, and I consider him to be one of the most important voices in Israel today. Rabbi Menachem, it's wonderful to see you. We are so excited to hear from you. Just so that everyone knows, there will obviously be time for questions at the end. Please pop those into the chat function. Everyone is going to be muted at this stage, but we will get to your questions at the end. So Menachem will be speaking for some time, and then we'll have some questions at the end. Just to remind everyone, this session does finish at 21:45 South African time, and then we will return to the other room. So I'm going to, without any further ado, over to you.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for this amazing and the great opportunity. I want to share with you all that when Ryan asked me to join Motzei Shabbat, it's usually my time family, I said right away yes, without thinking, and I'm so happy that I'm with you, with all of you. So Shavua Tov, I want to start with a little story. For many years ago, not so much, I think it was for 4 years ago, I was invited to a round table at the Knesset that deals between Israel and diaspora. So the previous member of Knesset, Michael Oren, asked me, Rabbi Bombach, what's your connection to this table? Why we invite you to come to this table? So I said, it was instinctively, I said, I also come from diaspora. So he asked, oh, sorry, from where? And I said, I immigrate to Israel from MeaShearim. MeaShearim, I think everyone knows what is MeaShearim. It's quite a famous neighborhood in Jerusalem. So it's an isolated and very extreme place. So I feel, because I didn't know even a word of Hebrew until the age of 20. I spoke only Yiddish. You can check. If you remember your Yiddish, we can speak in Yiddish. So why I immigrate to Israel? Because I'm coming from a community that it's very important for them to study Torah. Torah is the most important thing in the Haredi community. So when I'm 20, I didn't know not ABC, not math, nothing. So there is any chance that I can be integrated in the workforce. Maybe I could be a cashier, or I can get maybe very, very low income. And just imagine, I'm a part of 1 million people. I'm a part of not of 1 million, it's 1,140,000 people. So in 2028, 40% of all our first graders in Israel will be members of the Haredi community. Only in my city, Bitar Elite, 60% is under the poverty line. So this damage not just ourselves, it damage Israel, it damage about the future of Israel. And you know, when I'm 20, I have only 2 choices. Or I can sitting in the yeshiva and studying Torah all day long, but not everyone can. And if I can't, I will feel not so easy that maybe other people in Israel supports me. It's not an easy feeling. Or I can dedicate myself to learn studies and to go inside the university. But because it's so intensive, I will need to neglect all my other things, even the studying Torah things like this, and I will maybe lose my belonging to the community. And this is something that I don't want, yeah. And I think the majority don't want to lose the connection with the community. I want to say something. I immigrate from MeaShearim, but I have very good memories from MeaShearim, and I love MeaShearim. Today when I go there, I cannot go there because some people don't like me, but I come with compassion. I'm not hating, and I think it's just people, they don't know about what's going on in the world. This is results of the isolation, but maybe later on I can explain more a little bit about it. So right now we have or you're going to leave the yeshiva, or you're going to or you're going to just stay in the yeshiva. So both is not a good option. And I want to say something else. There is another problem. You know, the majority of the Haredi community, when I'm saying Haredi, I mean the ultra-orthodox community. The majority of them, they're not surviving the academic system. Maybe you heard about Ponovich. Ponovich like Harvard. Ponovich is very famous and a big yeshiva in Bnei Brak, located in Bnei Brak. It's like the Harvard yeshiva. Just imagine a young guy, he graduates from Ponovich, from this amazing and especially yeshiva, and he comes to the academic world. So maybe even know better than everyone how to teach a Talmud. I mean, Gemara. I didn't say, how do you say the Talmud? I mean, yeah, the Bible or whatever. But he has no skills how to pass tests or all those kinds of work you need to do. So the details and the research shows that who wants to go to the academic system when he's 20 years old is going to fail. I will tell you something more. From 100 Haredim who is going to the academic system, only 24 of them is going to stay there. Even in the second year, third year, they're going to drop out. So why? I will say it's very simple, because you cannot compensate, you cannot close gap in 1 month or 1 year that usually people are studying in 12 years. You know, I was very, very sad when I remember, I had the privilege to open in 2012 the first Haredi pre-academic program in Hebrew University. When I finished my second degree in public policy in Hebrew University, I said to myself, maybe we need to give opportunity for more Haredim to be a part of the academic system. So I come up with the idea, and I was very privileged to open and base the pre-academic program for Hebrew University, and it works very well still now, but in the beginning stages, 50% dropped out. I will never forget. It was a young guy. He came with full of passion. I remember his eyes and said, Menachem, I'm telling you, I'm gonna have a good job. I'm gonna make a first degree and second degree. I will be integrated in Israel. Could finance my family well. Just after 2 months, he said, Menachem, it doesn't work. And I'm very sorry about that. And this is a story that is going on and on again and again. So this is very, very sad. Just imagine those young guys wants to do something different. But the problem is it's too late and it's too hard. So we need to find another solution. So this comes the next story. And I'm telling you, it's really interesting, even for me. The next story is that we need to open schools that combine secular studies and religious. We need not just high schools. We need to start from day one. You know, all the research has said that in the first 5 years, it's critical for the future development for a young guy. So we need to base a network that young guys, elementary school, high schools, everybody should have opportunity to have the good studies. So it sounds amazing and so simple, but why it's not so simple? So this, I want to explain again, or share with you again the idea, the Haredi community after the Holocaust, they made one thing. They said, it's a time to rebuild the Torah world. All the Torah world, all the yeshivot was destroyed completely after the Holocaust. And it was very famous rabbi, Chazon Ish, Rabbi Yeshayahu Karelitz, and he said, now it's a time like Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. What Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, I want to rebuild in Yavne the Jewish Torah. So this is what happened after the Holocaust. So many people just neglect everything and just focused about studying Torah. So, and I will say something more just to understand. In a regular elementary school, we study only maybe 2 or 4 hours a week, secular studies. But once you go up to the next level, to the yeshiva, I mean, when you are on the age of 13 or 14, you just focus on studying Torah only, not math, not English. So that's what I claim again, for those young kids, it's impossible to be a part of the world. And this gives us very, very bad things for the future of Israel. So I decided I have to admit, I'm not so normal person. Why? Because I decided to open a school that combines, a Hasidic school that combines secular studies. And unfortunately, I spoke with so many friends, I took them advice, and everyone told me, Menachem, it's not going to work because the community will resist, will be against the idea. So I think maybe if you have some good ideas, but this is not the right age. And that's what I made. I spoke with so many people, but I said to myself, when there is an unwilling situation, there is 3 ways how to react: or to do nothing, or just to complain, like Israel. The Israelis like to complain from time to time, or you try to change a new territory. You know, I didn't get up in the morning and said, Menachem, you're going to fix the world, you're going to change. I'm very a little person, believe me. But I felt, because I come from such a background, I said to myself, no, I need to do something. You know, I want to tell you something more. If I would say, if someone could studying Torah all day long, I respect it absolutely. I think it's really keeping the world in my faith. But not everyone could studying Torah all day long. It's not for everyone. I want to say, I once came to a rabbi, and I said for the rabbi, you know, 30% could not sitting all day long and studying Torah. I just said 30 because I didn't want to make him angry. So the rabbi said, Rabbi Bombach, you cannot work in education anymore. And I said, why? Why cannot? I was really shocked. He said it in a serious face, you know. So he said, I would expect from a person that is an educator and also he has academic degree, he should know the right numbers, and the right number, he said, 70%. He says 70% cannot sitting all day long. So this was a moment of truth. But I decided I'm going to open a school, and I worked for many months, and I asked for many people to help me, and I decided to make a night. I'm going to expose for everyone. Everyone should come and see and listen to idea of a new system. From one side, we're going to study Torah very good, because this is the most important thing. From the other side, we're going to study the full matriculation, math, English, science, computers, physics, everything. So I made very special event, and I took not far away from where I'm sitting now. I took a very special and a nice hall. I wanted to make it very special, to be nice, full with respect. And I invite very special catering. It was amazing. And I expected to meet 150 people. 150 people, they said they would come to the great event. And I made some simulations, how I'm going to talk to them. I made a presentation. And I think to myself, I'm going to explain them. And you know, I'm going to I'll be very enthusiastic just to let them know there is another alternative way. And unfortunately, in that night, only 5 people came. Only 5 people. It's unbelievable. Only 5 people came, and I was so sad. And you know why I was so sad? Because 2 of them even didn't have kids. I don't know why they came to this event. Someone told me they was very hungry. There was going to be very good food. So it was so sad, and I felt maybe all my friends are right, and it's impossible to open a school. But, and the morning I get up, I will never forget those nights I didn't sleep, and I said, no, this is not something I'm going to accept. I'm going to work really hard to open the school. So finally, I got 14 kids, 14, not 40, 14, 10 and 4, 14 kids. And I started school with 14 kids. And this was my first challenge. You know what was my second challenge? I want to share with you what was my second challenge. I really believe the ultra-orthodox community, they are a big contributor for Israel society. And I think studying Torah is very important. But how I can take a young person, a young guy, and educate him also about solidarity for Israel. How I can teach him how to respect Israel, how to respect Jewish soldiers. And this was my most important thing. So I'm going to show you now very short movie. I can assume, because it was a viral movie, I can assume many of you watched this movie, but it's very important to understand and not just to watch, to see the kids. It was just my second year in the beginning. I want to show you, this is about the Memorial Day. In the Memorial Day in our school, there was a ceremony. Because usually in our society, we are not, maybe some of them saying some Tehillim, or doing something very good for those soldiers' souls. But I felt if I want in the future they will be a part of Israel, I need to educate them about love, about solidarity, and about to understand, even we are acting different and they're practicing different, still we are one nation. So now I'm gonna give you a glimpse, just 5 minutes. Take Bakasha, give a look.
תסתכלו טוב בתמונה, אני רוצה שתנסו לחשוב מה זה מעורר בכם. האם מישהו רוצה להגיד לי מה התמונה הזאת מעוררת בו באופן אישי? מה הוא מרגיש כשהוא מסתכל בתמונה הזאת? כן, נתי.
אני מרגיש סוג של רחמים על הילד הזה, וגם אני משתתף איתו בצער, וגם סוג של פחד.
תודה. כן.
שהוא מתגעגע מאוד לאביו.
למה הוא מתגעגע לאבא שלו?
שאין אותו עכשיו, אז סוג של חוסר אונים, הוא לא יודע מה לעשות עם עצמו, פשוט נשכב על הקבר ונרדם.
תנסו לחשוב על ילד קטן, שאבא שלו יצא להילחם, כדי שהרבה אנשים יוכלו ללמוד תורה, כן? והוא מתעכב, ואמא מנסה להגיד, אולי הוא יחזור, ועובר עוד יום ועוד יום, ועדיין לא יודעים, ועד שבא מישהו ובא לבשר להם שהוא נהרג. תנסו לחשוב, להיכנס שנייה לחוויה של הילד הקטן הזה, תנסו לחשוב האם בכלל החוויה הזאת יכולה אי פעם בחייו להשתנות. אני מדבר עכשיו ממקום של רגש עמוק שדיברנו עליו כל הזמן, רגש של הכרה טובה. שיש אנשים שהם עושים את מה שהם עושים מתוך אמונה שהם באים להגן על הארץ הזאת, אנשים שמשלמים מחירים מאוד מאוד כבדים, מבלי להיכנס איפה אנחנו עומדים בזה, אוקיי? אבל זה מאוד מאוד ברור שאי אפשר להתעלם מהמקום הזה.
זה יום מורכב עבור הציבור החרדי ועבור בומבך. איך מתווכים אותו לתלמידים שמעולם לא ציינו את היום הנורא הזה.
יש סיפורים שונים, כל שניים. אוקיי? אני מציע לכם שתקראו את זה לא קריאה שטחית, אלא קריאה מעמיקה. נתי בבקשה.
ומדובר כאן על רועי קליין, שהוא התאבד נשכב על רימון כדי להציל את חיי חבריו. בלי קשר לעוצמה ולאמיצות לעשות כזה דבר, למות על קידוש השם ולהציל כל כך הרבה אנשים, הוא עשה את המעשה הגיבור הזה במקום להינצל ולהמשיך לחיות חיים רגילים. מה שכל אדם היה רוצה או עושה לעשות. הוא צעק שמע ישראל, שזה מראה על סוג של אמונה ישר בשנייה.
שברגע הכי קריטי בחייו, נכון? הכי מתמסר וקפל שמע ישראל. יופי, תודה רבה. תודה רבה לכם. מה שאנחנו יכולים לעשות, להגיד פרקי תהילים לכל חייל עם השם שלו ושם ההורים שלו. כל אחד יגיד את הפרק שלו ויזכיר את השם של החייל שהוא נהרג. אז חיים מנחם, אתה תחלק כאן, בסדר? בשורה הזאת. תשימו לב שלמטה יש שם של החייל.
בצהוב.
בצהוב, כן. אז בבקשה, אנחנו יוצאים שקט, כל אחד מחזיק את הדף ואומר. אפילו לדוד, עתי אדינוי אוזנכו ענני, קוני והביינוני, שומרו נפשי, כחוסדוני. אוי שעבדכו עתו, אלוהי עבדתך אליכו, חונני אדינוי כלכו יקו כל היום, כי עתו אדינוי טוי וסלו ברב חסד לכל קוירךו. אני מבקש משיעור ג' לבוא לכאן ולהדליק נר, אוקיי? כן. שיעור ב'.
Yeah. I wanna just tell you about this movie and just share with you one story. A day after it was published, came to me a young person, it looks like a Chabad person, and he said, "You're Rabbi Bombach. I'm just coming from Rehovot. Rehovot is a city about 45 minutes from Beit Ha'alit." And said, "I want to thank you in my name and my name of my family. But I want to sit with you and just share with you the story." So he said that he has a grandmother. She's 87 years old. She lives in a kibbutz and she's a Holocaust survivor. And she was very, very angry if some of her family become Haredi, ultra-orthodox. And so more than 17 years, she has any connection with the kids and grandkids. And they were so frustrated, they tried to make everything to have connection with the 87 years grandmama, because she was amazing and a special woman. But she was so angry and she couldn't understand how some of her family become ultra-orthodox. So more than 17 years, he said this story with tears, like nothing. So he said last night, she asked for all her family to come to his house in the kibbutz. We was very shocked. We didn't know what she's gonna say for us, because it's the first time she asked for the whole family, and she's 87 years old. So we have nightmares about maybe she's gonna, and everybody came. It was like silent. And she said, "Before I'm gonna say something, please, I want all of you, you should watch this movie." And they watched the movie what you just watched it for 2 minutes ago. And after all the family watched the movie, she said, "I didn't know there is Haredim who respect Jewish soldiers. I didn't know. So I'm so sorry for those 17 years we didn't have any connection." And it was a reunion in this family with full of tears and cry, just because a simple story in a simple, but as you said, you see, the media usually in Israel shows all the time the bad things, just the things that comes from the edges. This is not really things that present the majority of the Haredi community. But once she saw a movie like this, she was fascinating. She said, "Wow, I didn't know." So this is one story. I got in the same night, I get another email from a guy. He said, "I'm 91 years old, almost to die, and I'm thanking God that I'm still alive just to see the hope that you're bringing to Israel." So do you remember about the 14 kids? You remember the 14 kids when I opened the school? Now we have a network of schools. They have more than 10 schools and over 1,200 kids. We have girls' schools, boys' schools, elementary schools, everything. Baruch Hashem. We are working very, very hard that this system will going up. And I will say something. Some people will say, "Oh, Menachem, you try to change the Haredi community. You are a Reformed Jew. You try to destroy the Haredi values." And I'm telling you, if I were not doing things like this, more and more Haredim will leave the community, will drop out of the community. Because if you don't find new practice how to deal with the new world, it's very sad. So this is my job. This is what I'm trying to do, to influence Israel. How you can stay inside the community from one side and with full respectful, but at the other side to be integrated in Israel, to be a part of the workforce, to be a part of Israel. Israel is now in the coronavirus days. It's not easy. But who can, if there is not be money in the package in Israel, who will finance the Haredi community? So this is very, very important mission. And I want to say something before I will open the questions. Ryan, how much minutes I have until the hand? Because I want to give time for questions.
We've got about 15 minutes left before we have to close
15
up.
minutes.
So, yeah, so at least 5 more minutes before we go to
Okay.
questions.
So I just want to, maybe I will make very short. I want to say that now, as I said, I have some graduates already. Some of our graduates are very, very successful. You will not believe, but I have the first Haredi activist in the climate change. It's very famous now in Israel. He's my graduate. I have many in university. I have many also, Talmidei Chachamim who wants to study Torah, but with pride, with love Israel, and to be identified with Israel. I always saying that, there is so many people who have disinformation about the Haredi community. They don't know, they're just listening to also the Haredi community. They don't know about the secular community, because all what you know is about the newspapers on those people who are bringing the edge story, the terrible stories. This is not present. So we have a mission. We have a very big mission. And maybe I want to end with this story, that it was a very big king. He had a daughter, a princess. And the lion came to the king and said, "Lion, I want to be married with your daughter." So the lion said, "Okay, you look so amazing. You look so amazing. You're such a special lion, but you have hair, and I think it could be really threatening." So he said, "King, give me 2 days." He came back after 2 days with no hair. He should make a hair cut. And then he comes back and said, "Now." So the king said, "Listen, you're amazing, but one thing I want to tell you, you have very long nails. And I think maybe in a weak moment, you can damage my daughter." So he said, "Give me 2 days." Come back after 2 days with no nails. And then he said he was so happy and said, now it's a time to be married, right? So the king said, "Yeah, Baruch Hashem, you're amazing, you look good, but your tooth is really dangerous. Also, I think it's threatening. You have to do something with your tooth." So he come back 2 days with no tooth. And he was so excited. He just came to get married with the princess. And then the king said, "Listen, this is not a lion. You look like a broken cat. I cannot give you to my daughter. It's terrible how do you look." So I think this is a story that said, if even I, as a Haredi, am going to forgive or compromise my values, I think other people will not respect me. So I think everybody needs to hold very, very strong his values, ideals, and at the same time be full respectful for others. And then I think Israel will look much better. Thank you so much. I'm very open for the questions.
Thank you so much. Such a privilege to listen to you, as many people in the chat have said, and just thanking you for your insight and your foresight and your determination. The question that comes up, and I know it came up in our forum as well, is what about the girls and the women in the community? And I did put in a quick response, but someone wanted more information on that. We know that you are the head of a seminary affiliated to your network, but if you can tell us a bit more about the education of women and girls within the community and within your system.
Yeah, so in Israel, the girls are actually much better situation than the boys, because the girls have matriculation, not the regional and not the official matriculation, but they have more stuff. So they know math and some of them English. The problem is different with the girls. Why? Because now in Israel, you can find a slave market from the Haredi girls or women's, because they pay them very low wage. Just they should make very, very important things. So absolutely, this is our mission also, to help the Haredi community, even the girls, to be for one side very strong Haredi girl, but in the second they should can really be integrated in such a way they will have very good and high income. So we have absolutely two very, very special schools for girls. And also we are doing the official matriculation.
Yeah, that was a question as well, is preparing, do you prepare your girls and boys do the bagrut, to do the final matriculation. Fantastic.
It's absolutely, it's absolutely the full matriculation. Also, we get we have more than 90% success in our system. For 2 years ago, we got the prize education from Ministry about the climate in our education system. Once you come to Israel, I would like to meet you, and you can come visit us. And you're going to see with your own eyes this special and unique change what we are bringing for Israel.
Can I maybe just say to our participants that is not an empty offer from Menachem. It is everyone that phones him when they get to Israel and want to go visit. It is possible. So it's not. So please do. There've been a lot of questions, and one's just come up recently, which I'm going to hold off on because we don't have much time. But people want to hear a bit more about your personal story. How did you leave MeaShearim? How did you learn English? So maybe you could just comment a little bit on that. And I know that you are open to people engaging afterwards as well. So we'll chat about that. But maybe just a bit more on your own personal story.
It's not such a dramatic story about myself, but yeah, I grew up in MeaShearim, my grandmother and my parents. And once I become revealed to outside the world, I remember, I will tell you one very sad story. I know even when I was 12 years old that I want to be focused on education. I had some initiative, and even when I was young, and I become a counselor for Russian immigrants in a place. So it was one night. One of the kids came to me. He said, "Menachem, I need to do some homework in English. Can you help me, please?" And I didn't know ABC. So I said, "I'm sorry, it's late, and I'm not so famous with all the letters." So he was very a clever kid and said, "Oh, yeah, English is really hard, but you can help me in math. I also have to homework in math." So it was a moment that I understand that I don't know nothing. And if I'm not going to take myself as serious, maybe I will be really ignorant. And this was my start journey. And I have to say, once you meet other people, you need to explain who you are. So it makes you much more stronger. So now the idea of the Haredi is we are afraid from the others. Why are we afraid from others? Sometimes because you're not enough stable. You don't have enough confidence who you are. Once you know who you are, you can meet everyone, to speak with everyone. You don't need to apologize all the time. So, there is different kinds of practice. People act different, speaks different, but we have, all of us, the same destiny, and we are all of one nation. We need to raise our love and respectful. Nothing can, that is the mission. Yeah, that's the mission. So this is about more or less my story. I can tell you, even when I was a young boy, MeaShearim, when I was a young boy, was many demonstration against cars who passed next to our street. It was young guys who threw some stones on the cars. It was crazy. So the police come inside, and my mother told me, my parents don't like so much what I'm doing. My mother thinks that I'm like a secular, but it's sad. But when I was a young guy, when I was 7 years old, my mother told me, I asked my mother, who is those policemen who came inside the neighborhood? Who is those? So she said something. I'm not going to say what she said, but I said, if they are Jews fighting with Jews, it's impossible. They are Jews. How we can fight with each other? Yeah, we need, I want to say something very, very optimistic about the future. Everybody knows there is many sectors in Israel. But just imagine, the edges, every sector has in the edges extremists. In the secular society, and the traditional society, and the Arab society, in the Jewish society, everyone in the edges, there is always extreme. And you know what? They are there to stay. They're not going to change. So for the majority, we need to cooperate. We need to think about the common goods. We need to think about how we can cooperate and just share the same, we have the same interest. Just think about welfare issues, or so many issues, we have the same interest. So so it's about, I can speak about like a seminar for weeks, so I'm not gonna waste your time with my crazy stories. So Ryan, bevakasha, more questions.
We know that you are a Harvard graduate as well. So in terms of going out into the world, that wasn't part of your mother's plan, I'm sure, for you to be a Harvard graduate. But there have been questions related to that. You spoke a bit about a leader that gave you not such positive feedback in the beginning. There was a question earlier on, and I'm sorry I'm not referencing everyone's names as I share the questions, but what kind of support or non-support have you got from the leaders within the Haredi community?
I like your question. I will say something. When we're speaking about the Haredi community, you think it's like very one package, black, great package. The Haredi community is a really large community, and there is a spectrum. 10% of the Haredi community right now, they are modern Haredim. 10% modern. They're going to the army. They're sending the kids they're going to academic system. And you know what? There is some of them even drop out from the Haredi community. That is not good. There is another 30% from the Haredi community who are, from one side, very conservative. They want to stay in the community. They don't want to lose the belonging of the community. But you know what? They have modern touch. What does mean modern touch? They're very pragmatic. So 30%, even 40%, and this is not just numbers I am just giving you, this is very deep numbers we find out with great researchers in Israel. So let's say more than 30% are very pragmatic. What does it mean? They know if we were not going to change or do something or to be interfere in the system, it will be impossible to survive. About the poverty and about everything. It's about moral questions. So because of those 30%, I think we can do a lot of things on one side to give them the confidence they can stay in the community, on one side to be integrated in Israel. So always the extreme is to stay. We're not going to change them. You know what? They're going to be even more, because it's going to be a against effect, because they're going to see people are the movement of some of the population, so they're going to react different. About what you asked about where I learned English, when I was in the 1920, I started learning by myself English. I understood that I would not have any access to the world without English. So I took books and started to speak with some of my friends who knows English. And it's not the best in English, but I think it's possible. But the majority is really hard. Maybe you need to have a treat or a skill, because I'm also good with Russian, because I work with Russian kids. But if you don't start in the age of 7, 8, it's really hard for people. I know so many who fostered it with the languages. It's not just one language. Just think about math. Math is also a language. So just imagine our guy is 21 years old. They need to start English math. It's crazy.
We've got time probably for half a question, but I'll quickly throw one at you. And there were more questions as well. And unfortunately, we can't get to all of them. But with this time that we're going through right now with COVID, do you see a difference in the attitude of Haredim towards secular subjects and secular society, just in connection to the rest of the country in terms of going through what we're going through right now?
Wow, we need more than an hour of speech about the coronavirus, what's going on in Israel, so many things. It's really interesting. I want to say something. I want to maybe tell you that, because our system teaching the kids via a phone, that's the point, because we don't have a Zoom officially, but it's very interesting. They said the Zoom company came to Bnei Brak to see how it works without internet. They see that everybody has a Zoom, but no internet, how it works. It's crazy. There was more 70% who has internet in the Haredi community. They have access to the world. Some of them, a lot of them with filters to make sure they have no access to problematic places. But the official Haredi is using the phones to teach the kids, and it doesn't work. So I come up with the idea to open the first virtual school for the Haredi community. And then we're going to launch this project in September 1. I'm very, very excited about, and we put a lot of money. And I hope a lot of Haredi will use it. It will be a kosher site. They can teach English, math, physics. We're going to start with these 5 courses. And we put a lot of money. It's going to be the first virtual school for the Haredi community. This is a part of our mission also. But about the coronavirus, what's going on, it's crazy because some of the schools, you know, the kids are sitting at home, and they become crazy. Just imagine 5, 6, even 7 kids in an average family are sitting in a very close home, very small home, about 90 meters. This is crazy. They're fighting with each other, the frustration, they have no money. So people said that this could produce a lot of changes. And I really believe that, that something will happen because of the coronavirus with the Haredi community.
I wish we had more time, and the questions are still coming in. We are going to unfortunately have to finish up now. Nadine is going to put up the links for the next session. I just want to quickly take an opportunity to thank you so much, Rabbi Menachem, for this wonderful session. We've been waiting a long time for this, and we are hoping that you'll be back in South Africa again soon in person. Thank you for your time. Thank you to everyone that's been on the call. I want to just check if people want to connect with you. Can they be in touch with you on Facebook? What's the best way?
Absolutely. My name in Facebook is Menachem Bombach. You can share, we can stay connected. And I also hope very much, Ryan, you will invite me to meet the community. I have a dream someone wants to visit.
That is the intention. And thank you for taking the time specifically with the Saturday night that's usually with your family. We really appreciate that. Thank you to everyone on the call. Please stay with us for the rest of the evening. We are going to go back to the central room again. As I said, we will put those details on the screen in a second. But after that, you'll have 5 different choices of our next in our next session slot, which will begin at 22:10 South African time, at 21:40 South African time. And then after that, there'll be a continuation of the discussion again back in the central room. But thank you so much for joining Limud and the South African Jewish Report tonight. Enjoy the rest. And if you are staying over here, just so that you know, next up in this room is Artur Lifshitz, who will be speaking. He's part of the Belarusian Jewish community, speaking to us about Belarus, and it's very, very current in the news.